It's chilling, and though I am used to enduring the gaze of others, this one makes the hairs on my back of my neck stand up. Hello, welcome back to the letter. We're just gonna continue with it. I don't have a lot of time to record, so we're just gonna go ahead and continue immediately. Luke is already gone by the time I rise. There isn't a single hide nor hair of him to be found. I'm trying to call him on his mobile as a buzz, as it only goes straight to his voicemail. That's twice in a row he's gone on me. For him to disappear today of all days is a bit upsetting because of what's to come. The morning's once again filled with a whirlwind of activity. Fortunately, I am much more refreshed as I took a break from my responsibilities. I haven't the faintest clue where Luke was yesterday. Today is going to be a busy day, although unlike Wednesday, the master of the house isn't here right now, absent once again from his duties. Hopefully he'll be back in time for the party. This is our house after all. A grand housewarming party for the wonderful Wright mansion. But every person of importance from Luxburn is invited, and there will be a few guests flying in as well. Of course, there will be some people from the media, along with friends and acquaintances who are made no less important regardless of their status in society. Marianne and I discussed business and last-minute touches to the house before finalizing everything. Not that there was much change from our original plans. Bar any huge additions to the property itself, the mansion is nearly 100% complete.
You have certainly exceeded expectations, Marianne. Everything looks so marvelous, and in such a short time, too.
Well, I can't take all of the credit. People have certainly been enthusiastic about the idea of working on the Wright mansion. There won't be any more problems unless Mr. Wright has any more objections about the second bedroom.
Luke and I had a small tiff about making the second bedroom into a child's playroom, which I insisted is completely practical. In the end, he had to acquiesce. I didn't give him any choice on the matter. I even bought this wonderful wooden crib from the antique store yesterday, including some toys. Just in case anyone brings their baby, of course. Besides, we have little need for actual guest rooms. We hardly have guests who spend the night. We absolutely have to. We often choose to foot the bill for their visit on one of our hotels instead, always at Luke's own insistence. And on the off chance we actually let someone stay, the bedroom in the outside wing is still up to the task.
Oh, no. We proceed with that room as planned. I already agreed to him having his greenhouse and his vineyard and his stables. He may as well let me have this one thing.
No, I did not agree with him having a helipad.
All right, then. Well, do we have any other concerns? Anything we need to put on our agenda before the party commences?
No, I don't think so. Not unless Luke has anything else to say.
Is he around, then? It'd be best if we can note down his requests right away, considering the scope of his usual ones.
Around? No. Where is he? Who knows where? I don't.
No, he's not around.
She didn't have to point out the obvious now, did she? After 7 long years, I've already gotten used to him. It should be by now. Still not, apparently.
But don't you have a party?
I want nothing more than to complain to Wing about how unfair this is. However, airing out one's dirty laundry is simply taboo among high society. To do so will make you a red target for the next dinner party chit-chat. Vultures, the lot of them really. Or most of them at least. There are always good ones like Rochelle, but put your trust in the wrong person, you'll find yourself eagerly picked apart.
Yes. But Luke's just being a sweetie, you see. That friend he's visiting. He's having marital problems, and he's just trying to cheer him up.
Perhaps I'm being a bit too rash, a bit too hot-headed in divulging details, but I thought myself clever with the plan to dress it up as gossip. Marianne's raised brow made me unsure whether she is interested or not. Although that does make things better if she has no interest, therefore has no hidden intent to utilize whatever I might say to her.
They've been married for a long time, and they've hit how do they say it? A rough patch. His wife has a drinking problem and can be very neglectful. The poor thing really does his best to be a good husband, but it's never enough for her. Sometimes I think it's the years. Maybe it's been so long that they've lost that romantic spark. What do you think?
You were asking for my personal opinion on the matter, ma'am? Do you want me to be honest, or...?
Be honest.
Be honest with me, Marianne. I don't need someone to sugarcoat it.
What up?
I'm not some fragile thing that I'm just going to break down at the slightest thing.
She hesitates, take a sip of her coffee, while I stare into my own cup of tea. Silence stretches on, and I almost believe that she'll never answer my question. I suppose that I shouldn't blame her, putting her in a tight spot like this. Her hesitation is understandable, though I loathe to admit it. She simply wants the whole thing to stay professional. But then she speaks.
If I'm going to be completely honest, I need to ask. This is about you and Mr. Wright, isn't it?
It's my turn to hesitate now. I really didn't expect such a straightforward question. And to get to the heart of the matter, I suppose I'm not as clever as I'd like to think. Or is it really that bad that an outsider can see our little marital troubles? Surely we aren't that obvious, are we? We put it up the act of a couple of years, but although it hadn't always been an act, Marianne is just more keen than the average person, of course. It is necessary to her career, and she's been working so closely with us. Yes, that's it.
Suppose it is. What would you tell me?
Then, I tell you it's none of my business. I tell you that I don't want to meddle. But if the troubled husband with the neglectful wife asked me for my honest opinion, I'd say that he shouldn't base his happiness and his self-worth on someone else. Someone who won't even give him the time of the day. Maybe he should try being independent for a while. See what it's like when he isn't trying to please someone else and doing things for himself. Everyone's supposed to be their own man or woman, right? A bit of breathing room never hurt anyone. That's just my 2 pence worth, of course.
So you're saying they should divorce?
Nothing as drastic as that. If they're afraid that it might lead to just that, then maybe that is what's meant to happen in the first place. We shouldn't let our fear control our lives. But it's just a short hiatus is all. Or, couples therapy? Look, I'm really not the best person to ask about relationships. So grain of salt and all that.
She tries off, having said her piece, and leaves nothing but the smell of coffee and Earl Grey between us. There's a calm despite the nature of what has just been discussed. To say that her words make me start to think is an understatement. To say that I'm not considering her advice is a lie. To say that this might just be the calm before the storm is a possibility. Others have had shorter marriages, yes, but plenty have celebrated long and happy ones as well. My own parents celebrated the choral anniversary before they passed away. But 7 years? 7 years isn't a whole lot in the grand scheme of things. It isn't a whole lot of time to see what and where our relationship can bring us. And at the same time, 7 years. Well, it hasn't been entirely made up of unhappy years, has it? It won't last forever, it's not supposed to anyway. I just dread the thought that it might last for a very long time. I dread the thought that these small spats, these little disagreements will turn into an all-out resentment. The idea that we will grow to hate each other with every fiber of our being scares me. I can't even pinpoint the exact moment when our blissful union turns sour. We can get through this, right? I know that I still do love him, and I still feel that there's a part of him that loves me in return. We just need to get our heads together and talk it out. Surely he will see some sense. There's a cough before Marianne clears her throat. It must have been quiet for so long, and I move to apologize when she stands up. Both end upon her feet, unsure how to proceed. Some sort of awkward shuffle occurs as we decide whether to sit back down or not.
I really should handle what's left of the work.
You won't be attending the party? Oh, you really must, Marianne.
I'll try to stay and chat. Maybe grab a few bites and a drink, but I can't be around for the entirety of the event. My apologies. Busy, busy, busy.
You must stay a while. I'd love for you to meet some of my friends, and they're ever so excited to meet you. You need to say hello to the Lees, at least. If it wasn't for them, I'd never even heard of you.
We'll see. So, if I can be excused?
Certainly. You'll have to excuse me as well. I must attend to the party before any early birds arrive. Because, believe me, they will throw a fuss if things aren't ready, even when they're not supposed to be here until an hour later.
The scene outside the parlor is a great organized mess. Aside from our own household help, we hired the service of the temp agency, which provides staff for writing enterprise in the hospitality sector. Even our very skilled staff cannot undertake a party of this size on their own. Waiters, busboys, hostesses, and their staff captains move about in droves, carrying crockery and serveware good for several dozen people and then some. Chefs and bartenders tail after Johans, looking like scared little children as he escorts them through the kitchen and into the wine cellar. to peruse the stocks, to select what can be served at the party and what can be used for cooking.
Schnell! We have a lot to do, and I believe we did not hire snails. Snails are for the dishes.
The string quartet readies up to play for the evening, tuning their instruments as they fill the air with idle chatter. Floral decor worth thousands. Fill vases, wreaths, and baskets, while petals are scattered along the driveway up front. A nice sculpture of a reindeer is brought in carefully by a pair, and it is followed by a simple cake, just a 5-tier white chiffon one with white chocolate mousse, fresh berries, and a light dusting of edible gold leaf. Despite the fact that I told Marianne how I will tend to all this, I find myself unable to focus or care for any of it. I still have our discussion running in my mind, and looking at all this, I can only see Luke everywhere. These are all the grand things that Luke wanted to have for the party. I wanted a small, elegant, and simple gathering, with only a select few invited, namely the people who I would actually trust to enter my home. I do not want any bloody politicians or paparazzi in here, no matter how used I am to catering them.
At least be here for your party. Damn it, Luke.
The entire thing screamed Luke Wright, and I can't help but add another question to my growing list of queries. When did I lose myself? It's always about him nowadays, isn't it? What about Hannah Wright? What about Hannah Evans? I used to be my own woman who made her own name, her own career, and her own decisions. Sure, I was already the social butterfly that I still am today, but it wasn't all empty shell of gossip and sitting pretty. It was also lauded for her knowledge and talent. Finance manager wasn't just handed to me just because my father owned the company. I had insisted that I start at the bottom so I could work my way to the top and prove myself. And I did. I worked numbers, managed budgets, money, and accounts, analyzing the competition and market trends. There was a calculation of financial risk, cost reduction opportunities, auditor, liaison, and public relations, supervision of staff, and I generally had a huge slew of responsibilities. Admittedly, I was already quite the attention seeker, even back then, having dedicated most of my youth craving for my parents' approval, feeling that I turned to others, looked for praise from anyone who would give it, however fleeting it was. And Luke, the way he looked at me, the way he watched me and took a genuine interest. He had me disgustingly obsessed since day one, hasn't he? He saw me for me, Hannah Evans, with both my faults and my achievements. Man didn't treat me like some damsel in distress or some prize to be won. I remember the nights before we were married where we talked about everything and anything, from big things like business, society, and philosophy to little things such as what we have for breakfast or whether we liked cats or dogs more. We both prefer dogs. Nowadays, I'm just Luke Wright's wife. It's mostly my fault, isn't it? They told me that husbands preferred wives who were docile and subordinate, a woman who will always be there for him, yet will never outshine him in all aspects of beauty. A wife needs to be at home and attend to his needs, to have children, to take care of them in his absence. He said I have no business working anymore after I was married. I can blame society, but I listened. Before I can fall further into this introspective pit of self-loathing, someone calls for my attention.
The guests have arrived, madam.
Hello, Johannes.
And Luke?
Running a bit late, I'm afraid.
Figured.
Late for his own party. That man, I swear. He's probably looking to make a dramatic entrance, knowing him. Open the doors, then. We mustn't tarry.
Our cars line up the driveway, peppering the front of the mansion with vehicles of every kind. Grantors, supercars, even the odd high-end muscle car to convertibles, grand saloons, and other luxury cars can be seen being parked by valets. A handful of cabs drive off, possibly for those who thought it's too troublesome to bring their own cars. There are at least 2 different media vans as well. They're all here for what may be considered the biggest event of the Luxembourg so far. Who knows what we'll plan for the winter holidays.
Welcome everyone. Please make yourselves at home.
Some of the guests idle, enjoying the warm, if not strange sunshine we are experiencing before gloomy skies inevitably return. They greet acquaintances and friends with warm smiles, others less so. From where I sit, I can see the hierarchy of power, the ties that bind these individuals here, whether through convenience or necessity. However, there are also few who are not here to further cement their current place in high society. such as that young man with his oriental hair, ignorant of the looks he receives from women and men alike. Is that Ash?
Be careful with Shirley, alright?
Or that rose-haired woman talking on her phone while she looks unsure of why she's here exactly.
Yes, I'm at the party already, Mom.
Is that... No, it's not Rose, it's... Rebecca?
Yes, I'll say hi to her if I can.
And then there's Zachary. I see Zachary the photographer as well. He talks to a few of the other media crew with an air of familiarity.
I was just here a few days ago, yeah. And the inside is huge, but the staff are pretty helpful if you get lost.
Then there are people like the chief inspector, people I can never be too sure about, people who stand on the border between being suspicious and being trustworthy.
Thank you for the invite, Anna. Husband still missing, I see.
I should be saying the same of your darling Rochelle, Lee. The doctors again.
She told me she'll just be in the gardens. Bet she's lying and that she's somewhere around mingling, gossiping with the other ladies. It's no offense, but that seems to be all you ladies do at these parties.
And aren't you gossiping right now?
Yes, well, what about Luke? Should we file a missing persons report now, or do you want to wait 24 hours?
He's around.
You know, I can tell if someone's bluffing.
I'm gonna call it right now. Luke, I'm gonna say Luke is probably dead.
Don't tell me, let me guess. He's finally drunken himself to death and not wanting a scandal, you've hidden his body. I was wanting to give this housewarming gift to him personally, too. It's a plate that holds a wine glass so he can stop killing himself with liquid lunches. Looks like it's too late for that.
Nothing like that. Besides, this is a hardly polite conversation.
Oh, relax. I'm just trying to be cheeky to lighten the mood. It's not like I want Luke dead. The man doesn't serve dodgy plonk like the others when I visit, and he pays his respects well enough. I could use a glass of wine or 3, actually. Rochelle's been in a horrid mood. Threw her stilettos at me the other day and almost took an eye out. Not sure if this is how it usually goes, but I blame the pregnancy.
I wouldn't know, would I?
Still no plans for a baby? Well, I guess that's for the best. If it's this bad now, I can't even imagine how bad it'll be when that little baby bump becomes huge.
I've imagined how I don't trust him no matter how hard I try to do so. At least he brought a gift, I suppose.
Why don't you just go inside and have some wine, Lee?
Think I will, thanks.
Greetings such as these carry on as the guests continue to trickle in. Whether we have short conversations or merely shake hands and nod heads, I make sure to attend and welcome each of them. As the first hour passes by, the rest of the stragglers and I are drawn to the ballroom. Any latecomers will have the attention of the porter instead. I have other duties to attend to now. Hosting parties is always the same old song and dance, no matter how big or small it is. Make sure the guests are well fed, have good company, and have them generally enjoy themselves. So when my opening remarks are done and the band starts to play, and the guests have started eating, I find myself wandering around aimlessly as I am pulled aside. For a while I stay with a small group and entertain them before excusing myself. And when they are not anymore watching me, I end up watching them. When they don't listen, I do. And the local banker is having trouble with his daughter. He wishes to marry her off, but she wants nothing more but to make music. One of our hotel managers worry about stolen belongings. One of his patrons, a failing in security, which should be brought up to higher authority soon. Our mayor, well, his cat died. Then there's that rose-haired one once again. It is hard not to notice her with her distinctive looks. She also lacks the grace that the other ladies have, though that does not make her any less beautiful. Her stance in the air she exudes instead are strong, and they make her stand out despite her casual attire. Many men have already given her their attention, though each invitation to dance has been turned down. I approach intrigued, although it is no great mystery what occupies her own attention. The glance she keeps sending toward the boy with the oriental hair. She remains unaware, though, even as I stand beside her, pretending that I am there for a drink.
You would catch his eye a lot better if you wore nicer clothes, don't you think?
Didn't realize the housewarming was going to be this fancy. I would have gone with a nice dress if I knew.
Oh, you're fine, dearie. It's only really the parvenus, those who climb, that come to these parties all dolled up. quite the black-haired beauty, isn't he?
The boy comes over, but I do nothing to speak any softer. He merely passes by, and it is a wonder he doesn't hear what I say.
Who, Ash?
You know, you really shouldn't have turned down those offers. If I wasn't married, I'd happily go dancing with those young men. But you said a name. Ash. That's the exquisite lad you've been looking at all this time. I don't know him, and I'm the one hosting this party. That must mean you know each other. Is he your boyfriend then? Because that would explain those rejections.
In all my life, I've never seen her face grow red so fast. The shade of her hair did not help as well. Just the most pink I've seen on a person, really.
What? No, that's ridiculous. He isn't my boyfriend.
Such a violent reaction. A simple no would have sufficed. Many here would be happy to hear it.
And I haven't been looking at him.
That's right. You've been staring. Quite heatedly, in fact. Although I'm not sure if you look like you want to kiss him or kill him.
It's more the latter currently.
Just don't go murdering him on my property. I don't want to walk into a room and suddenly find a body there.
However, as I feel the burning of someone's stares, it's chilling, and though I am used to enduring the gaze of others, this one makes the hairs on my back of my neck stand up. It is chilling, and though I am used to enduring the gaze of... Oh, I already read that. My attention is pulled from the girl, and I see a woman staring. The dark-haired and dirty, she looks more like a beggar than a guest, and I have half the mind to call security at her when her mouth breaks into a grin. All I hear is her laughing, taunting. Her stare makes my blood run cold. She looks at me like I am nothing but a pig to slaughter for her amusement. Makes my hand shake and I nearly drop my drink. Okay. But then in a blink she's gone and the buzz of the party returns.
I'll keep that in mind, but are you all right?
Yes, sorry. I just thought I saw something strange. It must be the trick of the light. Anyway, on a right, as you must already know.
I forget who it is. I might be able to find out right here. I was right. It was Rebecca. Okay.
Rebecca Gales.
Gales.
The name is familiar, like a fond memory. I recall a kind lady, a private tutor who treated me like her own daughter when I was young. She even brought me food when there was no need to do so. Usually stubbies, which I honestly haven't been too keen about, though I ate them nonetheless because she brought them for me.
Oh, the professor! And your little Becky!
My parents couldn't make it since they're in Scotland right now. And Mom says hi, by the way. But yeah, that's me. Little Becky. We met once before.
That's what it says right here, Becky.
Yes, oh, I remember you! You were the cutest little thing with glasses! And when we met, you were having boy troubles with this lad called something with an A. What was it again? Aaron, Alan, Adele, Albert, Alexander,
You
Andrew?
literally just met him. The more I list off names, the more red and the more quiet Becky goes. Yet she starts to look a bit miserable as her body language shows discomfort and stiffness. Perhaps I've triggered a horrid childhood memory. Surely I hadn't been mean when she visited with her mother. I don't quite remember all of it.
Ashton! Ash!
You finally figured that out.
That man is that boy! The same one. Oh, goodness me, after all these years! I can see why, though. He's quite dashing.
You don't really need to announce it to everyone with an earshot, you know? Keep it down.
I'm so sorry, but it really is cute.
And a tad bit sad.
This is a nice party, Miss Wright.
Please, Anna's fine. We're friends of a sort, aren't we? We must be friends, seeing as I know about your little infatuation, Becky. Don't you worry, dearie. You'll have your happy ending yet.
I'm not too concerned about that, am I? That's not what I'm looking for.
Oh? And what makes you think that? Doesn't everybody want their happy ending?
The idea of happy endings sounds like they're just for fairy tales. And they are, sorta. I don't think you can just sit around, trapped in some tower and hope for the best. If you love them, you have to fight for it, right?
Yeah.
You're not just going to sit there and hope that everything will just fix itself on its own. Like everything, you have to work at it. But what do I know?
There's a grimace, although she starts to relax around my presence. How long has it been since we met as children? Certainly a long time. She was tiny back then, if I recall correctly.
I'm sure the daughter of the two greatest professors I've ever known is smart enough to know what she's talking about. But have you told him how you feel? And it's been what, 20 years?
17, actually. But no, not yet. He can be a bit dense. I was hoping that maybe he'd notice on his own and...
Well, that won't do. What if you two become husband and wife? He's not to be dense when he's sworn himself to another person. Why, you might just as well consider leaving before the day's even begun.
If that happens, I'll have to give him a good ear bashing, won't I? Whoever anyone ends up with, it's not going to be a perfect relationship anyway. There's going to be things you'll love and things you'll hate about the other person. We're just humans.
Well, this sounds like something that Hannah needs to hear herself.
It's funny. Here I am, trying to give you advice when you did the very same thing back then. I remember you giving me a makeover when we were still kids. And you were the first I told anyone about my... crush.
I do remember now that she mentions it. Do I give her that yellow summer dress or the pink blouse and petticoat? She must have kept some of what I said in mind. It feels ridiculous remembering all that years later, talking about boys and how they go crazy for pretty girls as if it's some gospel every woman should adhere to. It's so easy to say such things then, with me not knowing any better. Though looking at her now, she must have kept some of what I said in mind. Perhaps I did say something good at that time, enough for her to take it to heart, but all of that matter in the moment as I mull over what she just said in my head. What Becky told me is very different from what Marianne told me. There's no time to ponder over that, however, as a hush descends upon the once lively crowd. The music of strings in the chair slows to a grinding halt as if the doors from the foyer opens. The last of the latecomers should have arrived moments ago, and anyone else this late would simply be too embarrassed to show their face. So this can only be one person, or rather one man. There's only one man who is audacious enough to arrive at his own party so late.
Good evening, ladies and gents. Enjoying the party?
So he's not dead. Okay, well I was wrong.
I hope I'm not too late in welcoming you all to the Wright mansion.
Unlike I, who was raised in the spotlight, simply grew used to his presence. He sought it out every chance he could get, even when there's no spotlight that shone. And I'll never put it against him when he smiles like that. He did so quite brilliantly under the scrutiny, and he channels his showmanship. You can tell by the way people's eyes light up as he speaks, how they listen enraptured, even if it's all he's doing is simple greeting, a little wave of his hand and a smile there and a blue swagger. I would tell him that if he is not to be a businessman, he'll do well as an entertainer. I love the sight of him, especially when he looks at me, and he beckons me over to humbly share his place. Not a single second is wasted as I excuse myself from Becky's side as I make my way to Luke's.
Welcome one and all to our humble abode. Tonight, if you have yet to find yourself in your roles, you are all ladies and lords of the court of your king and queen, if you would excuse my presumptuousness. So enjoy the feast that has been laid out for your senses as we only allowed the best to be served. Enjoy the rest of your night, everyone.
There's a round of applause, cheers, and even some hoots. Guests approach us left and right to shake Luke's hand and greet him personally, praises on their lips. It is because of this that I do not see her. I do not see her until she's dangerously close, with fury in her eyes, and she's already spitting venom. Like I said, I don't have a lot of time to record, so we're going to end on a cliffhanger. And that seems like a good idea with that. Hope you enjoyed this. If you did, subscribe and check out some of the videos that I have done. And I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.